Welcome back to Caelesti. This is 0.4, or the fourth beta release of Caelesti, and today we're going to be going over some more textures for mostly the Nether, but also some other things for the regular game as well. So starting off, first of all, we have a new texture for Bedrock, which is very similar to the texture that was used in Skr, in that it's very dark and very black and very solid looking, and kind of less grainy than regular Bedrock is, but it's just an original texture. So it's using a combination of the vanilla Japa Bedrock texture with a few slight changes, and of course obviously the massive coloration changes as well. Moving on from that, we now have possibly the most controversial change in this new update, which very well might get reverted or changed in the future, but we have unique textures for all of the ore types. Now, I say all of the ore types, obviously iron and gold are still the same, but I do have some sort of logic here, so let me just quickly explain. What I've tried to do is I've tried to split the ores into categories based on what they drop. So obviously, two that really stand out first of all are diamond, and I would probably say coal as well. Obviously, the only ones that I've actually really changed are diamond, redstone, and coal. The other ones are just tiny changes in addition to the new stone texture for the background as well. Emerald obviously functions very similar to diamond, so I've tried to use the kind of rough texture style of emerald to recreate the diamond texture. As you can see here, emerald uses like set cubes, which are all the same texture, and then just kind of randomly splays them around the texture like that. I've done a very similar thing here with diamond. I've tried to avoid them looking too similar. I think the positions of the diamonds in this little rock do help, because they're kind of like more spread out, and obviously they're much larger as well, being the 7 pixels as opposed to the 4. I think it looks really nice. Obviously this is a huge change to the diamond ore texture, and a lot of people have told me, you know, the diamond ore texture is so essential to Minecraft and so heavily recognized. Surely you should keep the diamond ore to be the vanilla texture and then change gold and iron, but I'll get to why my reasonings for that were in a little bit as well. Now, in my opinion, redstone and lapis function kind of similarly in the fact that they drop usually around 3 to 4 redstone / lapis. Obviously, lapis can get you a lot of lapis if you have a good level of fortune, but in my opinion, these two are very similar. Obviously, coal does kind of follow that functionality as well, but I think that these two, being that you find them at the same depth with the same kind of rarity, obviously with lapis being a little bit rarer, basically I think that these two ores are similar, these two ores are similar, these two ores are similar, and then this is just coal. So sorry, coal, you don't have any friends. But yeah, so obviously iron and gold do function very similarly again. They simply drop their ore form. Usually you wouldn't need to have silk touch to get their ore form, and of course you smelt them both in a furnace into ingots, hence why they do have a very similar appearance, because I would imagine they function kind of the same. I'm considering giving iron a different texture and keeping gold to be the vanilla texture, just because I kind of like the idea of all 8 ore types looking completely different. Obviously in vanilla Minecraft, coal, iron, gold, redstone, and diamond all share the same pattern, just recolored, and I've tried to avoid that really as much as I can. But now that I see them all laid out, I'm kind of thinking to myself that maybe iron having a unique texture could be good as well. But I don't know. I like it like this though, because I feel like iron and gold function similarly, so it's kind of fitting for them to share the same texture style. But we'll leave that for now. And obviously coal, I'm not 100% happy with coal right now. It's kind of growing on me a little bit. I don't know. I would say out of the 3 new textures, obviously diamond, redstone, and coal, this is my least favorite, I would say. I was trying to go for something really out there, just completely different to all the other ore textures, but I'm not 100% sure that I like it now I see it. I might try and do something similar to Quartz in the fact that it's sort of like long streaks going across the block. That's kind of almost what I went for already with the streaks here. But someone did also tell me that it looks like spilt ink, and I can't help but see that, especially on the top side of the block as well. So it might get changed in the future, but for now this is the coal ore texture. Moving on from that, we have Nether Quartz. Now, Nether Quartz has had a very similar treatment to what it had in Skr. Quartz is now going to be a lot brighter and a lot more vibrant. I'm yet to change the actual quartz blocks. This is white concrete that you're seeing on the floor, but they'll definitely be coming in 0.5. They are on the to-do list. Netherrack hasn't been changed at all. It's actually completely unchanged. The reason why the netherrack behind the stone, behind the quartz ore looks different to this netherrack is because natural textures are dictating that the texture's being rotated around. Sometimes you can see here this shape has been flipped around here. But otherwise, yeah, the texture behind the quartz is exactly the same as the netherrack texture. Only obviously the quartz has been simply reworked entirely to kind of have a similar but different shape to the quartz ore in version 1.13 and prior. And is obviously a lot more brighter as well. So instead of it being a kind of like dull beige color. It's more like whites and greys that look very clean, and will definitely fit the quartz blocks when they get done in the next version. Next up we have Obsidian and the Nether Portal as well. This is directly taken from Skur, both the Obsidian and the Portal as well. Only difference is the Portal has been recolored to be more of a dark, reddy purple, more like a kind of, I want to say like a bloody color, but it's not really, is it? It looks like almost like blood, but like rusty. I don't know how, that's a weird way of describing it. Whatever. But yeah, obviously you can see here the obsidian texture is the one that we had in Skur. This was one of the first original block designs I'd done in Skur in a number of months, and I just really like it to this day. I think it looks really, really good. Really, really nice competitor for obsidian texture as well. Obviously, we haven't done really much CTM in this pack just yet, but this is the first thing which is CTM based. Obviously, the portal has its sort of gradients going around the edge. I love the portal gradients. I think it's really, really cool, and it's made a return, obviously, for Caelesti as well. Moving on to Nether Brick, we have original Nether Brick and red Nether Brick. Now, again, I've done a very similar thing to what we had in Skur here, in that I've tried to make it so that the regular Nether Brick is very dull and very dark and very desaturated, and red Nether Brick is closer to the original Nether Brick, but obviously also a little bit more vibrant than it as well, just to kind of emphasize that red texture, which I do really like. And as you can see here, we have the block, stair, slab, wall, and fence form, and all of those respectively for the red Nether Brick, obviously. It's weird seeing that red Nether Brick doesn't have fence. It's a really strange thing. Like they obviously made the change in 1.13 to stop using numerical IDs. So why do we not have fence for red Nether Brick? Like it feels like it's missing. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, moving on from that, we have another CTM feature. This is an entirely original feature which I was planning on doing for quite a while, and I have more plans to extend this into the end as well. But as you can see here, we have two forms of Bedrock, one of which will spawn in the overworld and the end, and one of which will spawn in the Nether. I really like the idea of the Nether having its own bedrock. In my opinion, it makes sense that the kind of like stony texture, which is kind of grey and dulled down, would make sense in the overworld for this dark grey texture, and then in the Nether, where we have this sort of like bloody, fleshy red colour, the Nether, the bedrock would also reflect that texture of the netherrack as well. It's also really weird to see that Forge. Or maybe it's Forge, maybe it's World Edit, maybe it's just 1.15, I don't know. But I came into my world here, and I had to change an area in terms of like /set biome, and it didn't really work. I literally just picked like the block here and the block here, and then changed these like 6 columns to the Nether biome, and it changed a massive area, as you can see. And I found a kind of an extra area here where I could showcase the blocks side by side. Just a really weird thing to note, that kind of world edit biomes don't work in 1.15. It's really weird. It's cool, but weird. But yeah, so we have two different textures for the bedrock. The reason why I really like this, actually, and the reason why I'm more keen to do things similar to this in the future, is because you can't pick up bedrock. You know, there's never a way that you will actually be able to obtain bedrock in vanilla Minecraft. Obviously, it's just designed to be the unbreakable block that stops you from going into the void or traveling to the top of the Nether. But you can never obtain it in its item form, and you can never place it back down. So obviously, if I'm holding it in my hand in creative mode right now, and I'm to place it down, and it's this red texture, it seems really odd that the block, even like the breaking particles, you know, it seems really weird that the block that I'm breaking is red. And yet the particles are black. Obviously, the block that I'm placing is black, and the block that gets placed down in the world is red as well. It's very, very strange. But that would never happen in vanilla Minecraft. So in my opinion, doing interesting things like this with the bedrock is actually a really, really neat idea, because it means that we can take advantage of the different biomes having their own unique block and their unique purposes. Obviously, doing this now, I've kind of had more ideas about what to do for the end as well. Some of you will know in the end, the bedrock is actually used for 2 things primarily. The bedrock is on the obsidian towers, and it gets left behind when you destroy the end crystals. And there is also bedrock around all of the end gateways. So everywhere where you'd find a gateway on the main island and the outer end islands, and then the random gateways that you find strung around in the middle of the end, they all have bedrock as well. So there's quite an interesting opportunity there for a unique texture for the end bedrock. I don't want to make it a simple recoloration. Obviously, a purple recoloration of bedrock would make sense, but I'm thinking of doing a more interesting texture, considering that bedrock in the end is always associated with the end crystal or the end gateway. So we might have some really cool ideas for that going forward, but for now, it's just the nether bedrock being this kind of dark, dull red color, which I think looks really, really good. Moving on from that, we have the planks, the 6 plank textures. I am planning on having a unique plank texture between all of these. It will probably be the jungle planks, as it usually is. I'm considering going like maybe green or grey or orangey brown like we did last time. But I've got a few ideas, so we'll come back to this obviously in a future update. For now, all I've done is I've made the planks less wishy-washy, less kind of mushy. One of my big complaints about Joppa when it was first shown off was the fact that the planks looked really unsolid. They looked kind of mushy and watery, and I just didn't like it at all. I think something like wooden planks, where it's literally supposed to be a texture of wooden planks stacked on top of each other. I don't know why you would have like gradients and massive differentiation in pixels in this kind of texture. So all I did was I took the area in between the planks that you see here and made it darker, and did it strategically in certain places so that it would look better, and it just means that the planks instantly just look a lot better. It's really difficult to notice. You wouldn't really be able to see the difference here unless you see them side by side, but just take my word for it. These planks look a lot more solid and a lot more rigid than the ones that you see in vanilla Joppa in the current day. Onwards from that, we have one of the most complex features that is yet to come in Caelesti, unfortunately. We have the glass. I'm kind of returning glass from Skur in its state of being very, very good in terms of visibility and how see-through it is. However, we don't have any CTM for the glass just yet, and there is a reason for that. The CTM for the glass took me ages to do. In the original versions of Skur, when I added the glass CTM, it took me absolutely ages, because you have to remember there are 48 tiles, 48 variations of how the glass can look based on how you place it. In reality, only about 5 of those ever get used, but I just want to have the option just so that we're not missing anything from this feature. And obviously, with the introduction of new glass frames without this kind of like dodgy, half-filled-in border, I've just simply taken the border of the new glass, cleared out the middle of it, so it's ridiculously clear and really nice to look at and see through. But that does mean that we're also going to have to create an entirely new CTM for the regular glass. The stained glass is probably going to be really similar, so I might be able to just add that back in, but if it is going to look any different, then I'll need to do that as well. But for now, glass placed down like so is going to look really clear. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any CTM compatibility just yet, so you can see that is a problem. But in a future update for Caelesti, we will definitely be adding back the CTM for glass, because I think it just looks really, really nice and, you know, just is really good for building and, you know, lots of other things as well. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, guys. That was Caelesti v0.4. Once again, this pack is going to be available on my Discord. I'm actually going to release it a day before this video goes out, so if you do want to test around with any of these textures for yourself, see them in your own worlds, play with them with shaders, whatever else it may be, then you are more than welcome to. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any suggestions, please do leave them below, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you, take care, bye bye.